Hello and welcome to PM Studios Photoshop Tutorials. So today we're going to be doing a quick tutorial on a Valentine's Day themed text effect, which is going to be right in line with what we normally do on this channel in terms of Photoshop tutorials. Now, like I said, it should be very quick. However, before we get started on this, we need to go download a custom brush. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. You need to close out your Photoshop browser if you have not already installed this add-on here. So you're just going to go into your browser here, and I'm going to go to www.qbrushes. I know it says .com, but it's actually .net. You can go to .com as well. They own both the domains, and it will send you right here either way. So one thing you can do, if you're checking this out relatively close to when I released a tutorial, you can always just go here, click on this link. It is the Poker Brushes by Hermy87. However, if you are checking out this video at a later date and this is no longer here, because these cycle through, they get new featured artists all the time, you can go here to Objects, and then you should just be able to scroll down and see Poker Brushes. If you don't see Poker Brushes, you can search for it, and if it's not there, please leave a comment and I will do everything within my power to get permission from Hermy87 to post it up somewhere where it can be available to the public once again. So you're just going to go in here. It'll show you exactly what it looks like. This is also a really useful brush sets for if you're trying to design your own cards in Photoshop, which is a fun endeavor within itself. So we're just going to go ahead and click download, and that's going to download for you. I'm going to close that out. And then you're done with your browser for now. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go to our file browser right here, and I already have it in the download folder. It's already there. Just going to want to right click on it. If you have WinRAR installed, you can just click extract here. If you're only using WinZip, then just have it extracted to wherever is convenient for you. And go in here, and it's going to show you a JPEG of all the different items that come with the set, but this one .abr file, the Wonderland Poker by Hermy87, is the one that you really need. So we're going to go ahead and copy that, and then we're going to go into our Photoshop folder, and if you need assistance finding the Photoshop folder, I have another video up online called, I believe it's the smoke text effect tutorial, where I go in depth with how to find your Photoshop folder and how to put brushes in there. But I'm just going to start from the Photoshop folder. We're going to go into presets, then brushes, and then we're going to paste it right there. As you can see, mine's already in there, and then we're all good to go. Now we're going to reopen Photoshop here real quick, and if you need time to catch up, go ahead and pause the video. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go New, and we're going to set the width to 1920 by 1080, or the dimensions to 1920 by 1080. I'm going to set the resolution to 350 pixels, which will give us a lot of zoom in ability without having too much loss of quality. Go ahead and push OK. And now the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the horizontal text tool, open that up, and we're going to put in whatever text we want. I'm using, as always, Arial Black because it's a nice thick text font. So once you've chosen the text font that you prefer, you're just going to type in whatever you like. So this one's going to be Love is in the Air, because it's very Valentine's fitting, and of course you can put in whatever you like into the text. Depending on how long the text is, you're going to either want to increase or decrease the text size, but please keep in mind you want a nice wide buffer on the space to either extreme of the image from your text. So right now I'm using 30-point text for this Love is in the Air because it's a small line. If you were doing, say, the title of a long song, it might be proper to bump that down 10 points, whereas if you're doing like 2 or 3 words, it might be proper to bump that up to 50 points. I really don't know. You're going to have to experiment with that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to double click on the layer itself. And you can do that by clicking away from the thumbnail and the text, so it's going to be right around here, and it's going to open up the layer styles. What we're going to do is we're going to put a bevel and emboss, contour, satin, and a color overlay onto the text. And the first thing we're going to be fooling around with is a color overlay. So go ahead and click on the color, and since Valentine colors are usually reds or pinks, we're going to go ahead and drop this red down to a light to darkish pink. Mine's going to be a little bit darker than the normal, or than the average pink, so go ahead and do that. And then the satin, as you can tell right now, is a little too extreme, so we're going to rotate that around so that you can get some more of the pinks out of it, and then we might drop the opacity down just a smidge. And then we're going to go to bevel and emboss, and basically what we're doing is, let me go ahead and fit screen, actual pixels, there we go, that's better. We're going to go ahead and zoom into the text so that we can see really close, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it a little bit of a bevel, but not so much that it looks like they're friggin' pink ingots, so put a little bit of definition on there. Made about 250%. My bad, didn't mean to hit return. 250%. You can leave the size at 5, or you might be able to bump it up to 6. Again, if you have a larger text font, you're going to want to adjust those so that they look appropriate. However, it's going to be a matter of personal choice. I can just show you what it's supposed to look like, and then you can move on from there. So what I did is I bumped up the contour to about 70%. You could go up to 85%. That's really a matter of choice. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring in the brush that we downloaded. So of course, naturally, we're going to go over to our paintbrush tool, and we're going to select that. And instead of just the circle, the radial brush that we have on there now, we're going to click on this side arrow right here, go all the way down to the Wonderland Poker by Hermie87. Go ahead and click OK. Don't append. And we're going to choose the heart. And now what we need to do is we need to create a new layer, and preferably we're going to put it below the text. And as you can tell, I don't know if you can see that outline, but it's obnoxiously large at 708 pixels. So we're going to drop that down significantly, and for this one it looks like 150 might be good. I'm going to zoom out real quick. Alright, go back to our brush. Yeah, 150, maybe 175. That's acceptable. Yeah, and then once we have the size that we feel we want, the general area of the size that we want, we're going to go ahead and click on here and click on the toggle brush panel, and that's going to bring in these guys right here, and we're going to go to the brush presets, essentially the brush settings, and we're going to do shape dynamics, scattering, and I believe that should be it for right now. We're going to mess around with the size jitter a bit, make it about 75%. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then the minimum diameter, we can bump that up to about 35. Then we're going to want to mess with the angle jitter as well. 25% is acceptable for that. And then scattering, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to ramp up the scattering way high, and then increase, we'll keep the count where it is, and bump the count jitter up to about 75% as well. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it real scarce, real sparse, the number of hearts that it puts down. So let's go ahead and make this a nice round number like 875. You could even bring up the size jitter a little more. You do not want to play with the roundness jitter because that makes them look squashed and stuff. So leave the roundness jitter off. And then just play around with the angle jitter. You might want to decrease that a little bit. It's really up to you. Then once you have that finished, we're just going to brush over that. And as you can tell, that's a little extreme. So we're going to go back to our brush preset and ramp up the scattering a little bit more. Alrighty, and we can always adjust this to whatever suits our desires. Or, better yet, what we can do is now that we have this finished, we can crop out an area. And we're going to center it on the text itself. There we go. And that'll snap lock, so you don't need to worry about it too much. Go ahead and crop the image, and now we can redo the brush. Oops. Ah, poop. There we go. Only not so much. And this is purely a matter of how much you feel that is necessary. So if you feel that you've done too much, or if you're not happy with what you got, then you can always just undo it and then redo it. So I'm just doing something right here until I can find something that I feel I like. Alright, that one will do just fine. Okay, and so what we're going to do is going to make 3 copies of this layer right here. That way you get nice deep tones on there. And we're going to select all of them, and we're going to flatten the image, and then what we're going to do is, whoopsies, oh, I didn't mean to flatten the image, I meant to merge layers. There we go. Go into the layer styles for this guy, and we're going to do color overlay. We're not going to touch the satin, but we are going to do a bevel and emboss, and we're not going to touch the contour. So as you can assume, we're going to go ahead and bring down the color just a smidge on this guy, and actually, you know what, it might be, I don't know if that's going to come out well. There we go. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Then gives them a little more depth. And then the bevel. I'm going to go ahead and bump up the depth there. Maybe the size as well. What we don't want, or we don't want these big old droplets. The droplet hearts. Those look nasty. Alrighty. And that might even be a little too much with the bevel. Just do 6. Yeah, that looks about right. And once again, we're going to go ahead and bump up the shadows so that they are 100% opacity and leave the lights where they are. Because once again, we're dealing with a very light color as it is, so we want as much contrast as possible. Now at this point, what you just want to do is you want to focus on this layer 1 copy, and you just want to erase a couple things here and there just to make sure that we can visually spot our actual text, because as it is, you know, it might be a little bit difficult to read. So the things we can do to enhance that would be to bump up the satin a little bit, or just to concern ourselves with trying to clean it up a little bit. So what we can do here is, first off, that's an ugly smudge right there. So with the layer selected, we're going to go ahead and go to our eraser tool, bump this up, and as you notice, it erases just the hearts, so you can be really extra careful and not erase anything that you don't want. And then, like for instance, this one that's all lopped off, and this one right here, I would get rid of these as well. Oopsies. That's why I said you need to be really careful. And I'll lop that off too. And naturally, of course, if you wanted to do it a different way, you could always do your magic wand tool, but manual practice is always a good practice. So now at this point, we are officially finished. You can put a background on it if you like. So say for instance, if you want to do another layer, drop that behind everything else, and just get our bucket tool. You could do it that way. The possibilities are limitless for you. Basically what you need to do is we just need to save this out. So we're just going to go here and save as, and then JPEG or PNG if you wanted to retain the background, or GIF as well, so you could do CompuServe GIF, and that would take care of retaining the transparency in the background if you were planning on doing that. And we can just do love is in the air. Alright, and save that. And I always go maximum and then progressive 5 scans. It does a really nice high quality JPEG, and you can see that it automatically wipes out the transparent background and defaults it to a white background. Once that's saved, we can go ahead and open that up in our pictures. So here it is. And we can actually maximize this. And you can tell that, yeah, see, we can zoom in really far, and we really don't have that much loss of quality, which is what we were aiming for. But what we're really going for is this right here, and you can tell that it looks really good. And the darkness right there really contrasts it, so that it assists you in seeing the actual text itself, even when the hearts are covering over them. So that was it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I hope you guys find it easy, and I hope you guys find a good use for it. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the description, and I look forward to seeing you next tutorial. Thank you.